Hello, thanks for tuning in and welcome to the pool party. I hope you can swim because we're definitely diving into the deep end with a huge splash of truth, facts, evidence, information, and proof. Swim. Say what you mean. It's talk about talking. How we listen, how we hear, how we speak, how we hear what we're listening to when we speak, how a listener hears what we're saying, if what we're saying, what they're actually hearing and or understanding. Is it clear? Swim. Say what you mean. Well, that's just the beginning of understanding, because after we get that understanding, how do we accept it? How we respond if it's not what we expect is paramount. Are you okay with the truth? Are you man, woman, human, or spiritual enough to accept the truth? Let's find out. Welcome to the SWYM-ing Pool with your host, Travis Bridges. Hey. How y'all doing out there, my friend? And welcome to the Wednesday edition of the SWYM-ing Pool. It's SWYM. SWYM is the acronym for say what you mean. Are you saying what you mean? Are you meaning what you say? Are you saying anything at all? Or are you doing what I heard this week? I heard something really cool, and it says, let your silence do the talking. Unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. Another story, another live stream. Anyway, as Steve Harvey would say, I got a good one for you. I'm going to be talking tonight about living your life and telling the story about your life. Whether it should be in a book, whether it should be on a stage, whether it should be in a movie. You ever been riding down the road in your car and like this cool song comes on? Maybe you just left the car wash and, you're just cruising and you feel like you're in a movie. Yeah, you just kind of lean into the side maybe, or maybe you're sipping on a nice cold glass or bottle of mountain, well, I can't say any names, but, nice cold glass of tea or something, and you're just cruising, You felt that. Or maybe riding your bike or, just living your life and just felt like, you were in a movie. Have you ever dreamt that you were in a movie? Have you ever had some things inside of you, like maybe even some secrets that you wanted to tell? Has anyone ever treated you badly and you never, got to tell your side of the story? And maybe you thought maybe you could do it in a movie where you get to be the director. I heard one of my favorite inspirational speakers, motivational speakers, Les Brown. He said, life is the story. Your life is a movie and you are the director. You get to direct what happens in your life, of course, by the choices we make and the things we do. Well, we don't always make the right choices, but having the opportunity to actually direct your lifestyle in a movie would be cool. So that kind of hit me yesterday, and I have two guests that are in the industry, and I'm going to talk to them about a bee that got into my bonnet in regards to either a movie, a stage play, or a second book. And guess what? I haven't even finished my first book yet. Actually, I finished it, but I'm shopping it around maybe to decide if I'm going to go with one of those fancy smancy publishing companies that take most of your proceeds, or just, keep it private like I've done other things that I've managed to publish, and just, do it maybe for my great-great-grandkids, or just to leave something in the Library of Congress for self-fulfilling prophecy. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, this is SWYM. It's Say What You Mean. And it's a Wednesday night live stream that I usually prepare for like at the last minute. You're not going to believe I spent a lot of time thinking that I was going to have my guest on video because I've been kind of canning some, and I'll just talk to my guest kind of sort of off screen until I got comfortable and used to being on the YouTube or internet platform. And I thought I had gotten there, but I learned something in that progress. So it was process. It was a tough day, but I learned something. Anyway, I do have a caller standing by. I'm going to go to my caller in just about a minute and a half or so. And then I'm going to take a break and I'm going to get my first caller on. It's pretty much going to be audio, not much video on that one, good, because I had to put it together in a short time. And then I'm going to take a short break and then I'm going to come back with my second caller. So I have two callers. So when you see me say goodbye to the first caller, don't log off, okay? I appreciate it. Christine is in the hizzy. Hey, Christine, thank you so much. Christine is such a loyal supporter. And I promise you, Christine, you know, I don't forget. I don't forget who my friends are and who my supporters are. And people like to say, wow, you come a long ways and you're big time now, you know, after you've, you know, made it, you know, into something, you know, and they forget about, you know, these times when I would come on and everything would be wiggling and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But thank you, Christine, and the other couple of people that are watching and or who will listen later on. If you'd like to chat with me, I would love to chat with you. My email is travisbridges2@aol.com. Yes, I still use AOL, and I do have a website. You can catch me at travisbridges.com. You can get me at travisbridges.com. But I kind of gave my receptionist the rest of her life off. And that may or may not get answered in time. So I can get to the travisbridges2@aol.com for now. And with that being said, I'm going to go to my caller. Oh yeah, what was that? Why would you send me an email? To talk to me or to give me a subject to talk about, because this live stream is talk about talking, and we could talk about anything for any reason. The reason we talk is to get an understanding. Anyway, I'm going to go to my caller, and I hope my caller didn't go to sleep. I thought I heard some bubbles and some snoring. Caller, are you there?
I am here.
Was that you snoring a few minutes ago? Did I hear you snoring?
No, I wasn't snoring. I was waiting on you.
You sure? I thought I heard you sawing logs. I thought I heard. You weren't sawing logs a few minutes ago. Are you sure?
That was not me.
Okay, I'm just checking. Anyway, how you doing?
I'm a silent sleeper. How you doing? I'm doing good.
You're doing all right. Okay, listen, I'm going to give you a briefing. I'm going to tell you what my live stream is going to be about. We're talking about talking, and we're talking about putting your... Oh, Kimberly's here. Hey, Kimberly. Kimberly's also loyal. Thank you so much. So maybe she was one of those other three. So thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate it. So yeah, talk about talking, and we're talking about moving. If you had to tell your life story, do you think it would be interesting? Do you think anyone would want to know? Do you ever feel like maybe you didn't get heard on anything, whether it was an old job or maybe an old relationship or maybe even as a child? You ever felt like you wish you could just tell the story your way? You know, sometimes, there's this little voice in my head that says, don't nobody care. People do what they want to do, and you can't control how people respond. But with that being said, I would like to know if I am the only one who thinks that, maybe their life should be in a movie. Am I the only one, or has that happened for you?
No, because I wish that all the time. And sometimes I wish I can get a hold of Tyler Perry so he could write my life.
I know. I
have a great idea for it.
Yeah, I've thought of some movie directors, and it's like... I think, if I'm ever famous or popular one day, I don't want to be so far removed from people. I can only imagine, though, if you are, popular and famous, everybody's trying to call you for something. I can't be the only one who's wanting to find Tyler Perry or one of these Spike Lee or Steven Spielberg, one of those people. What's his name? What's my boy's name? Gosh, man. Lee
Daniel?
Well, him too, but no, I'm thinking the one who did, what's the name of the movie? Oh my God, I can't remember.
Perry?
No. Yeah, him too. No, the guy who did Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction.
Oh, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, that boy right there.
I love me some Quentin.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell
His
me.
mind is so complex. He would be the one I probably want to do it.
I
I just stick
know.
with Tyler because, color. But if
Right.
I really want my life to be expressed, and I think Quentin would have the right mind to do the turns and
Absolutely.
twists of my life.
He'd be able to dig into all of that fog that I can't even get through. So anyway,
Yes.
so I'm not crazy for thinking that I want to, share my life in that way. My book, I finished it, and I'm not trying to expose my life, but I kind of just want to share my story, and maybe somebody who may have experience or may experience some of those things, can see that, okay, at least you can get through some of those tough times. I'm excited about that. So is that normal? To want to share your
Yeah.
life, your story.
I think a lot of people want to do that. You know who really kind of inspired me from the first time she said it? Remember Juanita Bynum?
Yes, of
When she
course.
did the series No More Sheets, and it's like she said her life is an open book. Really, you can't keep anything. She just exposed everything. And sometimes I think if you live that way, if you just expose everything and don't try to hide anything, you can sleep better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go. See, our conversation wasn't that bad. You just kind of agree with
Oh,
me. I'm not
wonderful.
the only one. And if you could get to a director, you would love for your story. Do you think? I mean, this is a crazy question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Do you think your story would be interesting? You think your story could bless the lives of people?
I'm going to say it definitely would, especially because I'm plus size.
Hmm.
So most women that are plus size, they feel a certain type of way about themselves. Some of the ones I know.
Men
And I
too.
think because, well, yeah, but not as much as women, you know?
Okay.
Men can kind of like, they can
That's
put on
another
a bigger
live
front.
stream, but I'll leave it alone. But go ahead.
Yeah, but I think my life, because I have always been bold. I've never been afraid. I was never picked on, and that's something that people say. You weren't teased in school? No, I did the teasing. And my daughter said, "Mommy, you were a bully." I'm like, I was not a bully, but I think that my life, and because people, especially younger kids, they could probably relate to me. Because I was never that. I wasn't afraid. I was always, courageous. And I did all the stuff that everybody else, the little skinny girls did. I did everything. I was a majorette in middle school, and I was a cheerleader. I did everything everybody else did. And I was, I got the trophy to prove it. So I think my life would be an inspiration to a lot of plus size. Even men, I even say men, because some men, they can relate too, because I wasn't afraid. And I was very confident. And some people took it as being arrogant or conceited. It was never that.
Okay. All right. Well, it's good to know that I am not alone. What I'm going to do right now is go ahead and take a break and come back. But I wanted to share. What did I just do here? Hold on a second. Man, I'm looking for controls. Here we go. I'm going to take a break and I'm going to come back and with my two callers, and we're going to talk about maybe some ideas about getting into either stage plays, writing more books, and or getting onto the big screen. Okay, so I appreciate you being there with
All
me,
right.
especially at the last minute. I love you, right?
Love you too, brother.
Okay, we'll talk soon. Take care, all right?
You too.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye.
As time draws near and you plan your social events, call Mighty Horn Music for a party you and your friends will never forget. From banquets, receptions, family reunions, and church functions to birthday, executive, or private parties, Mighty Horn delivers. Event packages include live musicians, psalmists, comedians, clowns, and a karaoke show that's guaranteed to make you laugh. Mighty Horn Music specializes in providing a variety of music to keep your guests going for hours. Mighty Horn Music. Let us create a custom sound for your special event. From start to finish, Mighty Horn Music will plan your theme, decorate, cater, and entertain your guests with class and style. This year, make your events live with Mighty Horn Music. Call 786-487-7338, 786-487-7338, or log on to mightyhornmusic.com and let's party.
Stay focused. Not everyone will like you, support you, or wish you well. But there are so many more that will love and appreciate you as you continue to move forward. In fact, many people don't even have eyes to see you or ears to hear you. They're not even on the same frequency. So, don't always think they're hating on you. I am convinced that for every one that can't and won't see you, there are 100 more that can. Stay focused. Not everyone will like you, support you, or wish you well. But there are so many more that will love and appreciate you as you continue to move forward. In fact, many people don't even have eyes to see you or ears to hear you. They're not even on the same frequency. So, don't always think they're hating on you. I am convinced that for every one that can't and won't see you, there are 100 more that can and will. Purpose. Don't quit. Keep moving up. Step out and be bold. Your day is soon to come, and your testimony will be motivation for others. I believe. Stay focused.
Hello.
Hey man, how you doing?
Good, sir.
All right. Well, we are live as I promised. Is this a good time for you?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, let me tell you a little bit about my live stream because I know you're brand new to it. You don't know much about it, and you're kind of sort of somewhat on the spot, if you will. My live stream is it's entitled the SWYM-ing Pool. And it's SWYM. It's the acronym for it's SWYM. The acronym is for Say What You Mean. And on Wednesday evenings, I gather in my Hollywood home studio, and sometimes I'll get a victim. Sometimes I'll get a guest, and we'll just talk, and we'll talk about random subjects, and whatever becomes of those topics, we just kind of talk about them, talk through them, and just talk, so that we can be sure that we have clear understandings of what each other is saying, what each other is meaning, and what each other thinks they're saying, and what we think someone is hearing. It's just an interview pretty much just to get to the bottom and make sure that we are clear and we're okay with what we discover in unveiling that information that we discover in that conversation. So you have an idea of what it's about, right?
Sure do.
Okay. So
I almost quoted Bill Clinton for a second just to mess with you, but I said, no.
Okay, no, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's a fun live stream, and we're gonna have some fun. The only difference about this particular one is the idea to reach out to you happened just a few minutes ago. And as when I called you a few minutes ago, I said, it kind of hit me like my mama used to do, not in an abusive way, but in a kind of sort of solid, instantaneous, like getting my attention kind of way. So I reached out to you, and I just want to pick up from where we left off so that my audience can kind of hear kind of sort of where I'm going. I usually don't say names, or we don't talk about titles or locations or brands or anything like that. So if anything slips up, I'll find a way to blur it out if I can. But I started out by asking you, I will at least let my audience know that you are in the I don't want to say film industry. You're in the entertainment ministry, if I will. So yeah, I'll look at it like that. So with that being said, the first question I asked you was, is there a difference between a stage play and a film? What is the biggest difference between a film director and a stage play director?
Well, it's up to how the playwright actually does it, because the playwright, if he writes it for a stage play, then it's dialogue driven to paint the picture. If he writes it for a film is actually visually driven, because, like they say, a picture can paint 1,000 words. So you want to show whatever you can to drive your story into the direction that it has to go on film, that you get a chance, you feel the film, but pretty much it is driving your image. Stage play is driven mainly dialogue, but what helps drive the emotions is pretty much the dialogue and the music behind it. The music tells you, hey, was that funny? It's not funny. Was that you coming to a point of compassion, or you coming to a point of hate? You know, it's which side of it tells you what you should be feeling. And if you get confused with the music, then then maybe you just don't know music. But definitely, a film is definitely visually driven. Nothing more than, if you get a chance to see Top Gun right now,
I saw it.
Yo, man, your heart started pumping, man. You're like,
it's really good.
I said, no way, I'm all into this film. Because visually, it took you where they wanted to take you, so you could feel it. Yeah.
So it goes without saying, then, based on what you said, one difference in those two would have to be the budget. Is it possible that a stage play can cost the same as a film? I know you're laughing, but I have to get the question out there. There are no dumb questions except the ones that are stupid.
Yeah. No, you're good. I tell you what, if yes, only if you're doing a low budget film, you could spend the same money on a stage play. But depending on what your budget is, if you're doing a big budget film, no. In that case, no. A film is eventually gonna surpass the amount. It's gonna surpass it.
Okay.
It has to. Yeah.
When you talk about people that are not on the mainstream level, let's just say someone like, I have never met a person that did not feel that either their life experience or what they're going through, coming out of, or about to go into is either film worthy. Sometimes when I'm riding, in my vehicle and or I'm on a gig, or, I'm just in the store, sometimes I feel like I'm in a movie with something that happens. And sometimes I was like, man, I wished I could tell that. And that's why we share our testimonies and we tell our stories, because, everybody feels like, their experiences is worth, capturing and telling. And, that's how I'm feeling right now. I've had some recent experience, and, I did write a book last summer that I'm working on publishing soon. But now that has turned into, the idea of either, a play or maybe even a movie. So I figured I would reach out to some of my colleagues. And just before speaking to you, I spoke with someone who's actually in the short film industry. And the moment I hung up, remember I told you your head popped into your face popped into my head. And it's like, oh, I know who I'll call. So that's how, this conversation came about. So I would just say, I'm asking you now, I have that as an initial idea. Right now, today, it's considered, I don't even know if it would be considered a seed, but I want to put it in the ground because I have a story that I'd like to convey. And I'm not sure if I want to do it on a stage or in a short film or even a major film. And I've heard of, like, there's these guilds that go around, the independent film, industry and stuff like that. And just like, my CD projects and my book that I'm working on, and even now, the idea of my mama's son talking about doing a stage play or even a film, I'm not looking for a big time notoriety. I just kind of want to do it. Some part of me wants to do it for self-fulfilling and just to actually send the message, but not necessarily to be, famous or, a big. And if that happens, then so be it.
Well,
but I guess what I'm getting around to is how do you determine if you want to do a stage play or a full movie or maybe even a short film? What would determine that?
Well, of course, I've done both. I've done, as you know, I've done more stage plays than film. But the beauty of deciding is my why. Why do I want this story out, and what's the best vehicle to get it there? What's the best drive to get it there? Taking two things, taking something that's important, that nothing's new under the sun. However, the journey is always different, or sometimes they're the same, but the journey could be different, and somebody can relate to your journey. And sometimes you look at that and you say, well, they're not going to understand it in a dialogue way as much, because people take so much in, and they may not read the book because people take so much in, but visually sometimes they'll just catch it, because now they'll see it and it'll lock in their brain. You decide which one. Now, it can be done in a way with dialogue, like, say, conversation with you and your mom in the frying pan. And what was it that set her off to hit you? Okay, I can do that in a dialogue way, because that's important, because your journey is what you said and how you said it. If I was going to do it in a movie, then I have to expand that journey to say, she didn't hit you necessarily because of what you said. She hit you based on something she knew, and it happened to her, and you were the recipient of that by saying it. So now visually I can show her journey, and you are part of her journey. See, it changes. The drive changes. If it was just doing the dialogue, then it's you, and you're the subject. She is the protagonist, and I'm telling this story that this is she reacted to him based on this. But the minute I want this visually, I'm going to do this in a movie, because I need to tell her journey, and then what you did set that off. You triggered something, and I need to be able to show why you triggered. I'm thinking about the color purple, and how they were able to, when you see that certain things that happened to Celie when she was little, and how you saw the full journey, her full journey that it was able. So that's how you can decide, because I don't know. I didn't see The Color Purple on stage, so I didn't see it. I loved the movie. I saw it about 3 times. Mm-hmm. But I said, how do you put all that on a stage play and keep the journey intact? Because that's a lot of dialogue, and it's a lot to soak up in a dialogue.
Well, let me just interject real quick there. I saw the movie about 10 times, and I did see The Color Purple on stage. I did see it.
Oh, okay.
And I am going to just be honest. I didn't get the same response from the movie as I did the stage play. I got a totally different response, and they were both in the A categories. The production of and that's a good example. I'm glad you used that example, because the things they did different to bring out what the movie did that you cannot necessarily do on stage was very creative, and I enjoy. And I'm going to just go down and say that, of all the stage plays I've seen in totality, that particular stage play was one of the best productions I could have ever seen, because of the fullness of how they did everything. The sound, the music, it was perfect. You know, I'm a hard critic when it comes to sound. And the sound in that movie, when I tell you I saw the movie 10 times, I could quote it, you know, almost like I could quote Friday. I know it. And when I went to see it, I didn't see what I saw in the movie. I saw something different, but just as powerful. Gotcha. So I'm glad you brought that, you know, in. And I hope you remember where you were before I interjected. But
but here's the thing. That's why I think the creativity that you don't have as far as a movie is concerned, you have to be very creative on stage to bring out the story. Like you said, it was they told it differently in a different way to be able to bring that out, and that takes creativity, man, to do it. I saw Hamilton, and I thought, wow. Mm-hmm. How did they keep that moving like that? That was tight, you know, mm-hmm. and to be able to do that on stage. But it depends on what the journey is and how much of the journey you want to bring out. And sometimes a movie, excuse me, sometimes a movie does justice by it.
Mm-hmm. Now, really when you talk about the journey, could that be another word for the story? Because I'm hearing you say journey, and I don't want to take it out of context. But do you mean depending on the story when you say journey?
Yeah, but it's the story. Yes, it's the same word, except for sometimes there are details in your mind. Like when you walk in the store and you're seeing, you feel like you're in a movie, right? Because you observe very well. You can probably walk in a store. I say if you feel that way, you can probably walk in a store and somebody say to you, tell me about 5 people you just passed in the last minute. And you'll say, hey, there's a lady with 2 kids, brown dress. I passed the cashier. She was giving somebody back her change. There's little details that you would notice that it plays off in a movie script in your head. Mm-hmm. I remember there's a movie script I've been shopping with big houses right now in California. Mm-hmm. And the guy called me back and says, hey, man, we like your script. I got to ask you about these details. I realized if I did a stage play, those details would have been necessary because those details were really visually driven. And I know that I wanted to get that whole piece out. So it was only one way for me to tell that story was in a film. And that's how I decided. I have one now called, I don't know, can I tell you the name of it?
Maybe not now. You can tell me off screen.
Okay.
But go ahead. You can make your point.
But the point is that when I saw it, I know.
No, don't worry about it. Maybe we could plant a seed. Go ahead and tell me the name. Maybe it'll ring a bell, and this will be the beginning of it. So go ahead and tell me, and then finish your point.
It's called My Father's Chair.
Okay.
And where the guy just looks back at his, he sees his life and never saw the parallel between him and his father, and wondered why he had these struggles. And his only way was to follow his father, find out why his father dealt with it. Mm-hmm. And so now, which you say, man, can you do that in a stage play? I thought it would be too hard. I honestly did. I guess I would need somebody who was more creative than me for a stage to be able to say, how can we do this? Maybe like they did in Color Purple. How could we tell this story? And it would be because it's more visually driven. How can I tell this story and replace visual with dialogue? How can I do that? Mm-hmm. And so that would be the challenge. Okay. It would be interesting, would be fun, but that would be the challenge.
Okay. So in terms of a story, what constitutes a story? If you can tell me that, what makes for a good story? And, you can't say to someone your experience or what you have to say or how you feel is not story worthy, because I think there's something good in everybody's experience or in everybody's testimony, but not everybody's story or testimony makes it to a movie or a stage or anything like that. Sometimes some people's stories never get told. But just tell me what makes for a good story, if you will.
I think if it's something that I think for me would be something that would move people. I'm more into the helping people. How do I bring water to a desert? And so that's generally what I start with. If there's a story that's worthy that I know is going to help somebody, is going to bring water to somebody or bring some understanding, yeah, I like to tell that story. Mm-hmm. If it's moving, I like to tell that story. Listen, I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, I cried at the end of Top Gun. That was me. You heard noise in the theater. Sorry. It was a moving story at the end that I found the connection.
We have to be careful not to do spoilers, because I was about to say me too.
Yeah.
But, no spoilers though. Go ahead.
But here's the thing: they could make a good story that can connect the dots. I mean, some stuff is just going to be kamikaze. It's going to be chaos. Mm-hmm. But if you can, a story that connects the dots and makes sense at the end, or if it doesn't make sense, there's a feel of of a resolution or something at the end, then I say it's a good story. I think everybody, listen, I'm more observant. Listen, I observe everybody. I tell people, don't tell me your story, because you tell me, then it's out there. And you're going to say I stole it when I didn't. I just listened to you long enough and wrote it down when I got home. That's all I did. And so that's what I do. People tell me stories all the time. Hey, can I tell you about my story? I said, yeah, go ahead. And sometimes I've heard that story hundreds of times. And sometimes I hear a story that, wow. Now, I knew that the story happened to somebody else in this life. I know it has. But I'll hear the story, listen to the hook, and go, wow, I like that hook. And that drives me when I hear the hook that moves somebody, and I like that. So those things that makes me want to tell a story. When I hear a story that I know can bring water to somebody, it's going to help somebody. Somebody's going to walk away and get something from it and go, wow. I don't know if you remember that you were a part of us working on something we did years ago, back in the day. And I never forget this old lady who came in to see this stage play. And she came in day one, and I never forget her, because I remember this old lady giving me a hug with a fair amount of hair on her chin, so I remember it was her. And they said, no, that was at the Friday show. They said, no, I see her Saturday, 2:00. She walks in, she says, listen, I brought my granddaughter and her friend. And she's buying a ticket for 3 people, because there's some tangibles there that she saw that she wants her granddaughter and her friend to see, to change the trajectory of their life. And then she I see her again at the night show. And she walks in, she says, hey, baby, I'm back. I went, oh, no, man, you cannot pay again. You cannot pay. In fact, I'll pay for them. But that's what I'm talking about. Here's a story to bring water to somebody, that she saw something tangible that was needed for her and her family, and said, hey, we need this. Mm-hmm. That is a story that makes you feel good at the end of the day, that you helped somebody.
I think this is a good place to exit left. No pun intended, but I would like to do that. We've known each other for a long time, and anytime we've worked together, it has been successful. And again, your face just popped into my head, and I jumped right on the phone to get on to call you. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to share this, the beginning of something that could be great. And that's the only way I'm going to speak on it moving forward. But I would like to buy you some lunch, since you told me you were sort of retired, maybe even breakfast one morning. I would like to sit down with you, and I'm going to I don't like to talk about killing birds. I'm gonna multitask. I'm gonna get two things done at the same time. I'm going to make my notes while I share with you, my ideal story, and I'm gonna try to condense it into maybe the hour and a half it'll take us, to have some grits and eggs. And I would like to schedule that with you, even when we hang up the phone, because you are the one person that I know personally that has done well. You've been successful, at the projects that you've put together, and I like them. And I would like to just, if nothing else, but include you, in my ideal plan for, a production. I don't want to call it a movie or stage play or anything right now, but I'm gonna do the first step, and that's putting the story, together in the way that it's in my head, that I kind of want to share it, just for that reason, as you just said, to bring water to the desert. Because I think, why this happened, it, happened for a reason. And I think it's just been on me, to share it. So I'm going to go ahead and let that be the end of our time here. I can't thank you enough. And I always like to ask my guests if they promise, to come back again. That's if I didn't bore them too much. Will you promise to come back? Promise to come back with me again. I would really appreciate it. But when I hang up with you, I would like to set up a time so that I can, sit with you and share my story. And I would like your honest and true feedback. And if you tell me, nah, man, don't tell that to anybody, nobody's going to care about that. I would appreciate that. But I know, and I know you will. So you have to be careful what you ask for. But I kind of want to share it, with you. And I want to just thank you again for your time. And I'm a musician. I've got a couple of CDs. I'm working on a book. I would have never thought until today that even the idea of being a film writer or playwright or producer or anything like that would ever happen. But things happen, for a reason. And now that's kind of in my heart. It's in my mind. And anybody that knows me knows that once I start chasing a rabbit, he is not getting out of the field, period. Yeah. So listen, I'm going to let you go, man. Thank you again. And you already promised that you will come back. Did you promise? Did you say you'll come back maybe at another time?
Of course.
Okay. I'm going to let you go, and thank you so much. Do me a small favor. I like to ask everybody of this. If you need to tell somebody you love them, find that person and do it, but don't just say it. Show it, okay?
Yes, sir.
Take care, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Mighty Horn Music. Smooth jazz, top 40, R&B, inspirationals, and more. Live from the Hollywood Home Studio. Like, share, subscribe. And thanks for tuning in.
Hello.
Hey. I have a missed call?
Yeah, it's Travis. I'm calling you from my studio line.
Oh,
can you
how
hear
you
me
doing?
okay? I'm good.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, well,
I was like, who number is this?
yeah, I know, and I was gonna prep you in the beginning, but this is my studio line, and I'm calling you from my studio because I'm kind of sort of live right now. Nobody knows who you are, and they won't know who you are. I do a live stream on Wednesday nights, and I never say my guest's name ever, and I know it's on the spot, but we go back long enough to where I think I'm big and bad enough to be able to do that. But I have some questions about the entertainment ministry / film industry that I need to ask you about. And I wouldn't call you unless I needed you. So if you can give me at least 10 minutes, but up to a half hour, man, the Lord will bless you. So say yes.
I was actually over here about to walk up to my grandma because I have a meeting with her, with the nurse.
Okay.
Do you have... Is it today or when is it?
We're on right now, and you're not live right now. Well, we're live, but not live. I have an opportunity to dump it. If it doesn't go well, if you say you don't want to, then it doesn't have to get past the process. But right now, tape is rolling, and it's you and me, and I have some quick questions. I could make it quick, or I could call you back, but I really do need you, and I wouldn't bother you unless I needed you, because when you call me, I'm on it.
Right.
So you tell me what you want to
If
do.
it could be really quick before I go into this meeting here with
Okay,
her.
yeah,
with
let's
her
let's make it quick. And then I'm going to give you the quick version. And thank you so very much. Just so you know, I do a live stream on Wednesday night. It's called SWYM, SWYM. That's the acronym for Say What You Mean. It's a live stream about just a conversation between, two people at least. And we're making sure that we listen, that we hear, that we understand, and we get even a better understanding. We make sure that what we say is what they're hearing, and what they're hearing is what we're actually saying. It's about just clarity for the most part. And sometimes I have good topics, hot topics, and interesting topics. This topic is what I would call interesting. So I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna start the timer right now. I'm gonna let you go in less than 5 minutes. How about that? Can I do that? Okay. So now I'm a musician. My background is radio. I play the saxophone and I can produce a few spots here and there. And I wrote a book last summer and I'm working on shopping it now. It's somewhat of a documentary about my life. And I'm working on, releasing that sometime before this year's out. But over the last few months, the idea of doing a stage play or, a short film has come to mind. And today I just got kind of jacked up in the collar about it. And I reached out to some of the people that I know who are in the entertainment industry as it relates to stage plays and film industry. And of course, you are the second person that came to mind only after I started talking to the person. It's like, I know who I can call. So I just want to share now what I'll do since I only have a limited amount of time. I'm just going to tell you, I have an idea. I have a story. And I want to do the same thing kind of you and my other friend did about either bringing it either to the stage or to, theaters in some kind of way. And all I want right now is the same advice you would give to someone like on a career day, because it's right now, it's only an idea. And I want to do something with it. I'm not sure if I want to just maybe write it in a book or just start talking about it on my live stream, or try to bring it to fruition either on a stage or in a film. And I just kind of wanted your advice, about having an idea and deciding on which path to go, whether I want to go to a stage or whether I want to go into a film production. So what are your thoughts, first of all, about me having an idea, the nerve of me to have an idea and a testimony, right? And want to try to share it with somebody. But, whatever advice you can give me, I'll take right now with the 3 minutes and 20 seconds we have left.
All right. Well, the first thing is, if you have an idea and you believe in the idea, make that idea come to reality. But the one main advice that I would give you, especially about business in general, learn the business side of everything and building a solid team that believes in your vision, believes where you're trying to go. Just don't get anybody working on your project. So that one person, that negativity could definitely, ruin the project or ruin how big the project can be and become. So my main advice is learn the business as well as get a really good team. I've been fortunate to have a really solid team that has been with me for more than 15, 20 years, that really believes in the product and what we do when we do our shows, whether it's in Florida, whether it's out of town, or whatever the case may be. Also, to start writing down small little things that you want to incorporate in your play. Like when I write my plays, I don't necessarily start at the beginning. Sometimes I might have an idea for the ending. I start with the ending, then I'll start with the middle part, then the beginning. So there's no right or wrong way, in my opinion, how to write your show. You just write and constantly do draft copies of it. Rewrite it over and over again. Then you make sure you get someone that you don't know to read your script and see if it makes them laugh or makes them smile or whatever the case may be, to see if it grabs their attention. I love giving people who don't really know me to read my work because they'll give me their honest feedback. Mm-hmm. They're not going to give me or tell me what I want to hear. So that's some advice that I would give you, especially in the beginning, is really learn the business side of everything and learn, how to do appropriate budget for a stage play itself. and really get the positive people around you. Positive energy is everything.
Okay, one quick question because I had a question before you said this last thing. You said a budget. Is there really a way to budget? Can you make a budget and stay within that? I mean, is that even possible?
Oh, of course. That's how we do our shows. I have a budget for
Okay.
everything. I always, I budget everything from, from rehearsals, from production day, from catering, every single thing. And I don't go outside that budget. I stick to that budget. But you have to be realistic. And my biggest thing, too, when it's upcoming playwrights, producers, stop cutting corners. If you got to cut corners, then guess what? You don't need to be doing no show.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you cut corners, then guess what? 9 times out of 10, the show come out crappy.
Mm-hmm.
You want that show to look like, it could be performed at the Fox Theater or, any major theater that you may go to. You want that show to be on point. If say like the set is, I don't know, you want a real set. You don't want that little. You don't want the one that it's like I forgot the name of it that quick. It's like a painting in the background, and you just put some chairs in the front, stuff like that.
Right.
You want a real set that looks wow. So when people walk into that auditorium, be like, okay, I paid good money to go. So I'll pay the set. I got my $70 or $80 worth. The set is nice. The acting is good. The music, the sound is very important.
Ask
Make
me
sure
how
you
I
have
know.
a good sound.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you have a good sound person, to make sure they know that auditorium. And just really have a good technical director, to make sure everything is up to par. And lighting is very important as well when it comes to shows.
Okay.
You don't want any dark spots or anything like that.
Okay, I want to make sure I stay on my time, but I do have one question. I asked my last guest this. I'm going to ask you the same thing. We go way back like Cadillac, and I would like to buy you breakfast or lunch or dinner for you to just sit with me and at least kind of hear the story, so I can get your feedback from a professional perspective within the next 30 days. Can I get, a time that we can just sit down for maybe hour and a half max so that I can kind of sort of tell you my ideas and you can, again, give me some more practical, information or advice on which direction to go? Because right now it's just a thought. So I know you're busy, but within the next 30 days, if you can give me some time, even if we do it over the phone, I'll send delivery over and we can just eat and chat.
I'm gonna take you up on that food now.
Well, there you go then. So then I got you on my live stream, agreeing. So within the next, couple of weeks or so, I'm going to reach out to you and try to sit down so that we can get together and you can at least tell me yay, nay, maybe, and then I'll just take your advice because I'm not in a hurry. But I have this in my heart, and just as I told my other guests, when I start chasing a rabbit, the rabbit does not leave the field. It doesn't leave the forest. I catch it. So this is my first day of even thinking about it. And thank you for taking this time. I know you have to go. I really do owe you one now, for real. So thank you. And you already know.
Oh, there's one more advice I want to give you and whoever's listening. Mm-hmm. Before you start talking about your ideas or anything like that, make sure you have that person sign a non-disclosure confidentiality agreement as well, so they won't sell your idea.
Okay, yeah, that my other guest said something similar to that too, and you're right. But and I'll just throw in this last. Our time is up, but I'm going to say this as a tail end. My story is kind of sort of unique. If somebody wants to steal it and they can do a better job at it, then I'm okay with people stealing. And that's, but if someone can steal it and do better, then that my point is to get the message out. And that's what I want to do. So I will keep that in mind, but I won't let it worry me and stop me, because if someone can actually do a better job, then let them have that. I'm just a messenger, and if someone else can actually deliver the message, that's just as good. Listen, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, and I will be in touch within the next week or so, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Okay, you got it. Have a good night.
All right, bye.
All right. Well, there you have it. I've had 2 guests about something that happened. Hello. Unique, if somebody Well, there you have it. I've had two guests about something that happened, not even in the last 24 hours. We're going to say in the last maybe 5 hours. I've always thought about it, but I've never really capitalized on it. And I just thought it was just something maybe just too big for me. As a matter of fact, as it relates to my book, I had a friend of a friend that I was going to get my book over to maybe even think about, working on maybe a movie or a movie idea. The nerve of me. There's this voice in my head saying, nobody wants to hear your story. Who do you think you are? You're just that little punk kid from North Carolina. Nobody, you can't do anything. But I've got to really shut that down and say, no, I went through, my trials and my tribulations for a reason. And I believe each one should teach one and each one should reach one. And, when we, get to a place, we should always share our testimony, and that's how we overcome. So I've got something on my heart. It's on my mind. It's been on my mind for a long time. And this is the first inkling I've got to try to do something with it on a platform like this, in the form of maybe even another book or a documentary and or a stage play, or maybe even a short film or a full movie. You never know. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm doing something totally different by staying on camera with my guest, and eventually I'm going to have them, on the camera with me, because I'm still growing. This live stream is something that came about, as as a result of the COVID concert series live from the Hollywood home studio, when COVID first hit. And, this is how I'm growing and, things that I'm doing differently. And I'm okay that I only have, let's see, maybe 10 or 12 or 15, maybe sometimes 7 or 8 people watching. And that's okay, because it's giving me time to get comfortable with where I'm going. I do have a vision. I do have ideas. I do have plans. And it's taken a little time for them to unfold, but clearly they are underway. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful Wednesday evening. Do me a small favor, as you know, find someone that you need to say I love you to, and don't just say it, but show it. Till the next time, have yourself a good night.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. When you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemy. You anoint my head with oil, my cups run over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.